They met long ago, a boy in school and his teacher. But close in age, they spent most of their time not learning history, but talking about music and fucking around. Years later, and still not particularly grown up, they're trying to relive those nerd out sessions. Please humor them, or don't.
Hi, I'm Sean.
Hey, I'm Andy. We're back.
Yeah, how's it going?
I'm doing well. What's the topic today?
Top 5 album closing songs.
All right. I'm gonna be honest, and I think it's gonna be the thing as we go through and do all these. I get super excited once when we have the topic. So I'm right on the internet, like, what's the top this? What's the top that?
Yeah.
Just like I did last week. Mm-hmm. You accused me of cheating.
I did it too this time though, because I was curious.
Well, so here's what I did. I checked, and I think that there are some stock answers, like when you look at top 10 or even top 25 or whatever. So what I did is I looked at those, and then I was like, you know what? Here are those. Here are my top that aren't these. So I thought I want to start just by, do you mind if I just recognize those that are kind of seen as the canon
that you wouldn't mention because it's too obvious?
It's too obvious. Obviously they're phenomenal closing tracks,
and they're going to be on every list from Rolling Stones to everything else.
Yes, exactly. And to be quite honest, looking at the list, I'm like, yeah, of course that's on, like, that would be on my list. Of course, great tune.
Yeah.
So I just, like, when we first said what the topic was going to be, one that popped into my head right away, and of course it's a stock on the list, is When the Levee Breaks.
Yeah.
As a drummer,
sure.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Day in the Life by at the end is Sgt. Pepper's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was on like every list. I saw that one.
Yeah, or other lists, the Abbey Road medley, Her
Abbey
Majesty at the end of Abbey Road. You Can't Always Get What You Want, the last track on Let It Bleed. Voodoo Child, Electric Ladyland, American Girl, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
There's a couple coming. I know.
Fight the Power. Fear of Black Planet.
Yeah.
Purple Rain.
There it is. Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Won't Get Fooled Again.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, I didn't realize that was at the end. I just didn't remember. Yeah,
I didn't either. Redemption Song at the end of Uprising.
That's a nice one. Yeah.
That is a good one. Freebird at the end.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I saw that one too. I was like, ugh. Yeah.
And then, so the last one I thought was kind of in the canon, but I want to give it a special shout out just because not only is it the final track of the album and it's awesome, but it's the final track of a career of a band, and that's All Apologies off of In Utero by Nirvana.
Okay.
It's a poignant final track, but then just to know that was their final track.
Yeah, like officially,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Okay, that
yeah.
So those would be like, and then I was like, okay,
the stock answers.
Stock answers, and then I was like, okay, I'm going beyond this. I don't know what my criteria were necessarily.
Yeah.
Obviously, is it a great track? Is it a great way to close an album? I don't know if you found this, but this was actually a more difficult topic than I expected, because sometimes it's different between the American release and the European release, and the updated remaster,
the reissues and stuff like that.
So
I have one in particular that's like, it may not count because the original is different than the reissue.
Okay, so I tried to stick with the originals.
Me too. So I guess it does count, but
I made it a point, like, this has to be the final track on the original, not on the reissue and stuff like that. I don't know if I had any real criteria beyond that.
So mine, like you, I Googled stuff out of curiosity because I had a feeling what would be on everybody's list, the stock choices. So first of all, I wanted to avoid those. I didn't want to have like a lot of obvious stuff, because I guess it's a little more fun, even if it's cheesy, to have it a very personal list.
Right.
And then I guess this is more like loose criteria, but is it just simply a good song that ends an album? Or is it like in some meaningful way, like the end of the album?
I hear that. And actually,
I broke that rule once or twice. Like maybe in one case, I don't know. Maybe in one or two cases, it's just simply a great song that ends a great album.
Right.
But I guess that's okay. But I tried to choose ones that are really just an excellent way to finalize the album. It's really like a closing track, epic in some way.
Right.
And also don't choose an album by a band that I chose last time.
Ooh, I did not.
So like one of my runners up, I wouldn't have ended up choosing this anyway. It would have kind of fallen off the top 5 eventually, I think. But for example, I had in mind a Saves the Day album closing track, but I mentioned another Saves the Day album as a runner-up last time, so I immediately cut it.
See,
and that made things easy for me because there's so many choices. So
I did not do that, and I'll open up with that because that's a great segue. And I guess I didn't realize how big of a fan I might be of this artist. I mean, I like Beck.
Yeah.
But the fact that I shouted him out last time with Odelay being maybe the best road trip album.
Yeah.
But I've got to go with Beck again, but this time the closing track to Midnight Vultures, Deborah. It is such a phenomenal track. It's Beck basically, like, I don't want to say parodying, but like, and it's kind of mocking like a 70s soul slow jam of, about a woman, but the lyrics are what make it. It's like the lyrics start out with oh no, I'm not going to remember all the lyrics, but it's like, oh, I met you at J.C. Penney's. I saw your name tag. I think it said Jenny. I cold stepped to you with a fresh pack of gum, and I could tell you just wanted some. Like, but then the chorus is, I want to get with you and your sister. I think her name is Deborah. Like, but he sings in falsetto the whole time. It's like this really slow, like it's got this cool bass line that's going through the whole thing. Like, it's just such a phenomenal track in general, but the way to close out an album, yes. Like,
yeah, and also it's long, right? It's like 13 minutes or something.
Well, no, okay, so here's another thing. There is a hidden track.
Oh, okay, so it's not exactly 13 minutes. Okay.
So I didn't include hidden tracks.
Oh yeah, no, that's
be
fine.
honest with that.
No. Yeah, that's fine.
Right up front. Deborah's the last listed track on the album.
Yeah. And so the 13 minutes includes the hidden track.
It includes the hidden track.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, long album closers it wasn't a criteria of mine, but I kind of tried to keep that in mind. Like, what songs can I think of that are long? Because that's kind of a cool,
right
way to end an album, have it be very long. But
yeah, no, if you don't know Deborah, man, it's such
I need to listen to it. I kind of missed out on Midnight Vultures, I think.
I
know the singles, I guess, but.
Yeah, it's a great album. It's up there with Odelay as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Deborah, fantastic closing track.
Cool. So yeah, my first one is, so last time, I started off by being cool. And then I went ahead and did all the cheesy stuff after that to try to keep people watching for at least 5 minutes. But I'm just going to go ahead and lose everybody. The first one is the last track on Jimmy Eat World's Clarity.
Okay.
Why can't I think of the track now? Now that we're recording, I can't do it. I can't do this.
That's why I have it all written down on the
Yeah. Goodbye Sky Harbor.
Okay.
And this is actually like a 16-minute song.
Oh, really?
It's like all of side D,
Okay.
And so are you familiar with Clarity? I guess you are, right?
Yeah, I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Yeah. It's just their emo masterpiece, basically.
Yes.
It's like really soft and sentimental. There's some rockers on it, of course, and then, yeah, it's just the perfect way to end the classic album. It's just it starts off with this emo jam, and then they kind of soften it up, and they just jam this like repetitive arpeggio and drum beat for several minutes.
Okay.
And then they start adding in loops.
Oh.
So they start looping the arpeggio, and then they start adding other stuff on top of it. They start looping some voices, like little harmonies and stuff, and it gets very like this big chorus of guitars and sounds and vocals.
Right.
And that loops for a while, and it builds up. And then eventually, like the main music, the drums and the main guitars and the bass, like fade out, and you're just left with all the voices like looped.
Oh.
And then this like electronic drum beat comes in, and then the last few minutes, it turns into this like grandiose like dance song.
Oh, okay.
And it almost sounds kind of Christmassy. There's like some bells and stuff.
And is it because I'm trying to imagine, and I can't picture the song, although I'm sure I've heard it.
Yeah.
Just kind of finishes the album on this joyous. Does it contradict the style of the rest of the album a bit?
That dancey, Christmassy thing, maybe a little. That's a good question. Basically, no, because the melodies still have like a sweet
right.
bittersweetness to them.
Yep.
And underneath the kind of Christmassy, like happy sounds, there's this kind of like muffled like bass that kind of still gives it that darkness.
Right.
And then it just kind of like fades into nothing, and it's a bit scratchy at the end, and then it's over.
Okay.
So in a way it does kind of contradict, but it's pulled together really nicely. Like it all sounds like Clarity,
Right.
There's like a pretty consistent style throughout the album.
Nice.
But it is the only like electronic dancey part of the whole album, I think.
Right.
I mean,
so they're experimenting a little bit.
Yeah, to close it out. It's an epic ending.
Nice.
Yeah, I was listening to it this morning to like remind myself of all the parts,
Right.
And I was like, oh man, I remember like I would have my headphones on, like waiting in the corner of the airport for our flight to get there. I was waiting for boarding, and I would just be like, yeah. Like,
This is it.
Yeah. Here comes the little like weird, it's not like a xylophone, but it kind of sounds like one. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, yeah. It's like air percussioning in the airport.
But that's what you want in a track, right? Like you want that where you're like, man, I can't wait for this part. I can't wait for this part.
And if you like walked by me, it's like, you know, oh, that long-haired 16-year-old kid, he's probably jamming out to like some Zeppelin, you know. Right. It's like, that stuff's pretty. What's going on there? And I'm like, I'm jamming, dude. Come on.
Nice.
Give me my arpeggios. Give me my clean, non-distorted arpeggios.
Nice choice.
Yeah. That was like last time when we decided this topic, I was like, got one.
Yeah.
That was it.
That immediately.
Closing track, super nostalgic. Like I remembered it right away. You know?
Yeah. That's the way it was with Deborah. That's the first song that came into my head. I think I'm gonna go with, so I was torn here. I love the Talking Heads. Yeah. I think they're fantastic. So I was torn because on some lists I saw This Must Be the Place, which is the closing track on their Speaking in Tongues album. But probably one of my favorite Talking Head songs of all time closes out Little Creatures, and that's the song Road to Nowhere.
Okay. Is Little Creatures oh, that's not the live album. No, never mind.
No. It's fantastic. It's a great album, but Road to Nowhere, the lyrics, the music, quintessential Talking Heads, kind of in their heyday. Not kind of, it is in their heyday.
Yeah.
So Road to Nowhere, I think, is just a phenomenal closing track, and I was surprised that it didn't show up on any lists.
I've definitely heard that album, but it's the one album that I've heard only like a few times. The other ones I've heard like several times. I love the Talking Heads too.
Yeah, very much. They're fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic.
Or sorry, it's Talking Heads, not the Talking Heads, I guess.
It's Talking Heads, yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Damn it.
I guess I'm not a real fan.
Yeah, so that would be my second one.
That's good. That's a good one. What's the one? It's an all black cover, and if you have the physical copy, like it's embossed. It's, you know, like that type of metal that has like kind of knots in it. It's basically like that, but it's all black, and it's embossed, so it kind of feels like that type of metal. Anyway.
I don't know.
I remember liking that one a lot.
Yeah.
Can't remember what's on it though. Yeah. We're really good at this podcast shit.
Yes, we're experts.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like making these lists, you know, it's really hard because, you know, when you know everything.
True.
You know,
true.
Like, you know, dumbing it down for these idiots. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. You know, dumbing it down to 5. It's like, Jesus, you know, give me a break.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, it's kind of true.
Yeah, but then I'm like, what's the name of that song again? It's like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, what?
So my second will be No Vaseline from Ice Cube's second album, Death Certificate.
Ooh.
No Vaseline. It's like the ultimate diss track towards NWA.
Yes.
I'm kind of like I'm glad I thought of it. I was kind of just going through Spotify, seeing if I missed something, you know, and I was like, oh, there it is. That's perfect. That's the perfect one. It's the last song on the album. You know, everything was blowing up between him and the contract disagreements, and everybody, you know, it was him versus NWA at that point. And
and he was their lyricist essentially. I mean,
you
know,
so that's the perfect one to choose. It's still like one of the greatest diss tracks of all time
easily.
Yeah.
But see, that was that's the greatest thing about Ice Cube on all of his albums. Like, he holds no punches.
No.
He just says what he thinks and feels, and no apologies.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes him one of the best ever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's a really good lyricist. And he's, you know, he's gangster rap, but he's also conscious, you know.
And he's not one you want to get in a diss. Like,
no, he's he doesn't mind having a bit of a fight.
Right.
Verbally, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fun, like it's fun listening to a lot of that 90s or older hip hop, and like hearing all the dissing that was going on. Like, you know, when you, especially listening to the Eazy-E record where like he's dissing Dre.
Right.
And like you hear Snoop Dogg dissing Eazy-E, or you hear Ice Cube dissing everybody in No Vaseline. And then, you know, later in life, everything was fine.
Sure.
But it's just funny to hear it. It's like, wow, like this stuff is on record. It's hilarious, you know, like, or like, you know, this rapper Cannabis, like his beef with LL Cool J, like hearing all that stuff. It's like, it's so funny.
Well,
they made money off of like dissing each other, and now they could probably, actually, I think they still hate each other, but a lot of the beefs have been, you know, ended, right?
Well, I mean, I remember LL Cool J and Kool Moe Dee having a beef. And
really?
Mouths That Knock You Out was...
Oh, is that what that was?
That was a diss track to Kool Moe Dee.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that's part of the history of rap, right? Is to be the best DJ. Like you...
Right. It's battle rap. Like battle rap was a part of the history. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. That's another good choice. All right.
And that's kind of that's one of those, like, going back to the criteria thing, the loose criteria thing. That basically is just a good song that ends an album.
Right.
It's not really like a finale. It's just he just threw it at the end as like an afterthought, like, by the way, F you.
Yeah.
But in that sense, it is a good closer.
Yeah, it is.
Time. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with although I don't think it's ultimately the best version of this song, because I think the Far Side elevated it, but Doing Time, the last track on Sublime. By Sublime.
The self-titled?
Self-titled, their last album. It's just so smooth and so chill, and it was, for Sublime's style and feel, especially with that album, it just fits perfectly. Like, it's just this great ending of this chill Southern California, you know, reggae punk kind of, but dub also, like just really smooth and chill. And then after Bradley Nowell died, the Far Side just elevated it. You know, they don't really change the track at all. They just go on top of it. And I mean, it's the Far Side. Like,
yeah. What album did the Far Side do it on, or was it on an album?
I don't know if it is. It might be on a Sublime tribute album, maybe, or...
Oh, it just says like the Far Side and Sublime Doing Time. Yeah, I wonder what that was on.
I don't know if they added that to like
remix by Sublime featuring the Far Side. Is that what it would be?
Probably.
But anyway, I'm not sure if I've ever heard the Far Side version.
Oh, you should.
I just know the Far Side.
You should listen to the Far. It's
yeah. I mean, because I love both of those bands.
Well, see, I love Sublime. I love that album. I think it's just a great way. Sublime did it right to end the album that way. But then, then the fact that another group was able to come along and just like take a great closing track and lift it up a notch.
That's cool.
It's super cool. Great. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I was just listening to some Far Side the other day, produced by Jay Dilla.
Oh yeah.
Like I was specifically just listening to the songs that he did because it's a nice combination. Yeah.
Because it's Jay Dilla.
Yeah.
Like
this the song Runnin', I think.
Yeah.
Runnin'? Yeah. I was like, yeah, this is good.
Like really, there aren't many producers that, I mean, in my mind, there's no better producer. But
is he your favorite one?
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay, that's another episode for sure. We have to do that.
Like by far.
Hip hop producers.
Yeah. Jay Dilla way up there.
Cool. There's a good like YouTube playlist of basically everything he's ever done.
Yes. Yeah.
Questlove. Buy music, kids. Buy music.
Well, this is the Questlove went during the lockdown and everything when Questlove was doing live DJ sets on YouTube. He did a live Jay Dilla.
Like a full Jay Dilla one?
Yeah.
You could just DJ Jay Dilla for an hour and you're fine.
Right?
Like nobody's going to get bored.
No.
Yeah. My next one is the closing track on the album called White Pony by Deftones.
Okay.
And the song is called Pink Maggot.
Nice.
And are you familiar with White Pony?
Yes.
It's like kind of when they started to experiment a little bit, be a little oddball. They weren't new metal anymore or whatever that was. Yeah. And yes, I mean it's a pretty dark album, pretty, for lack of a better word, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Pink Maggot, which was like really dark and really, really weird. And then it rocks at the end. And it's kind of long.
Right.
It's a great way to end the album. And they also did like that new version of it later on.
Yeah.
For the remaster or for the reissue. And the new version was like basically new metal.
Oh, okay.
Like perfectly like anybody would like it at that time, like new metal.
Right.
And that became the new first track. And then track 2 was the old track 1. And then of course it still ended with Pink Maggot, with the original Pink Maggot. Right. It was called like Pink, the new one was like Pink Maggot in parentheses back to school.
Oh, okay.
That was the new one. And I think later on there were issues that ended with something else. Pink Maggot, the original Pink Maggot became the second to last track.
Right.
But at that point I had already moved on, so I'm not even sure if I've heard that new last track ever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. They reissued that. There's like so many different CD versions. There's like the black cover, the silver cover, the red cover.
Well, this
something else cover,
This has become part of the problem since digital recording, right? Because it's so easy now, just be like, oh, well, we'll just put that,
Yeah, like you go on Spotify, you're like, what's that song? That's not there. Right. That wasn't there. Yeah. And yeah, you can literally, like, that's what, Kanye West is doing. It's annoying. Like you can release something on Spotify and then you can log in and change it.
Yeah.
You can change the track listing.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's why I like talking about albums, because I think it's almost a lost art nowadays, is putting together and crafting an album, because we're in an era of singles and single downloads and
or not releasing, even if they are making an album, just not releasing them physically at all. Like there's current hip hop artists that they're really busy. They're releasing like full length, like solid albums every year or every other year, like, but they're only digital.
Right.
If you want to actually purchase it, it's like downloadable from their site or it's iTunes.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And like that's fine. That's I guess that's
the industry now.
Yeah. But I would totally buy your CD, bro, if you made one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I would love to own a CD. Yeah. But
I have this huge list, but I am gonna stick with what I put in the top 5. So 21st Century Digital Boy, which is the last track on Bad Religion's Stranger Than Fiction. I'm a big Bad Religion fan.
Yeah, they're good.
As far as like, they're right up my alley as far as punk, and they're really probably one of the first pop punk bands because they added harmonies, and they were much more melodic than the hardcore scene, which
because it was just, again, for lack of a better word, it was just a little cleaner. It was just a little kind of more, I don't know. Yeah.
It was more musical instead of the aggression of hardcore, which was what punk had become, right? It was about hardcore. And then you've got Bad Religion coming, and you're like, you know what? There's some melodic sensibility here, and it's not just balls to the wall screaming in punk. Like, these guys are adding melodies and stuff. But Stranger Than Fiction is kind of their popular album, like their mainstream. But 21st Century Digital Boy is the end of that, and I think it's a great closing track. It doesn't part from the rest of the album. They actually released it as one of the singles from the album, which a lot of bands don't do with a closing track. So yeah, it's just a great song. And
really awesome drummer, again, like really good drummer.
Yeah, he is.
Isn't Bad Religion officially Fat Mike's like favorite band of all time, or
something like that? Yes.
Yeah. Like there'd be no NoFX without Bad Religion. It's like, I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but
but we'll let you believe that, Mike.
Yeah, but I get it. They're your favorite band. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, they're great. They're a phenomenal band.
Yeah. Did you hear their 2019 album?
I downloaded. I have.
Called like Age of Unreason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at that, like it was around that time when I had kind of like started revisiting pop punk a little bit.
Yep.
Like the stuff that I was listening to back then. Like I was listening to like Melancholy again, and like Pulley.
Yep.
And like just stuff like that. Just the random stuff I hadn't heard in ages.
Yep.
And then that album came out, and I was like, oh, cool, a new Bad Religion album. And it was awesome. Like it was Bad Religion. Like it was like they're back. It was so good.
Like, and Bad, they were political. They were, conscious. It's just.
Yeah. And the music is so good. Like,
so good.
Is so good.
Yeah. So good. So good. So, yeah, 21st Century Digital Boy.
Cool. It's a good one. This next one, it's one of those where it's basically just a good song that closes out a really good album.
Okay.
But it's the one that I got behind me. The artist is Raz Kaz, and the album's called Soul on Ice. And once again, let me remind myself of the title of the song.
Damn.
Am I fired? It's
I'll let you.
So it's Order Out of Chaos, but it's Ordo Abchao. I'm not sure what language that is.
Okay.
But so Soul on Ice is basically Raz Kaz's debut.
Okay.
And it came out when like gangster rap was the thing,
Oh, okay.
But
I'm unfamiliar with Raz Kaz.
Yeah, so it came out back when, G-rap was the thing, at least in his part of the world,
Right.
But he wasn't G-funk or G-rap. He was like a little more conscious. People kind of called him the, California's answer to Nas,
Okay.
And he was like really political and really cerebral. This album talks a lot about racism, like really bluntly.
Right.
People even argue that, some of the lyrics are anti-white, but he himself is not anti-white. He was just, they're just very angry lyrics, and they're very poignant and deep and like, important, basically.
Right.
And then he ends the album basically with this song about the New World Order and kind of retouching on a lot of those like racist themes and, suppressing, minorities and stuff like that. And it's just like a really powerful way to end like a really interesting and powerful album.
Right.
Raz Kass is probably my favorite rapper like ever.
Okay.
Yeah. He's kind of, when I found him, I was sent off in like a different direction.
Right.
Like in my like searching for what hip hop I want to listen to next.
Right.
Like he kind of knocked my car into another lane. He's really good.
I'll have to take a listen because I do not know him.
Yeah, this album is one of those things like you'll find it on those lists, like the most underrated hip hop albums of all time. Like you'll find it on that.
Okay.
So he falls under all those, like he's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Like he's one of those God MC. Like he's one of the guys that gets thrown at.
Okay.
One of the greatest hip hop lyricists of all time, kind of thing. Most underrated, something like that. And then like this album, it came out and it basically got shit on.
Right.
Great rapping, terrible production. And then over the years, people started to realize, no, the production's pretty good and this album's amazing.
Right. Right.
So now everybody likes it, like, basically.
Okay.
But at the time, it didn't do very well.
All right, I'll have to check.
And his career had ups and downs and stuff. And now, at least in the indie hip hop world, he's back.
Okay.
And like everything that he does these days is really good, basically. But yeah, Raz Kass, good last hard hitting track.
Nice.
On a hard hitting album.
Nice. All right.
Best rapper of all time. Sorry.
Best rapper of all time.
Sorry, I just wanted to start the comments,
Yeah, exactly.
Comments going.
That'll be another episode where we're like top 5 rappers of all time.
Yeah. Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. None of these are easy.
That's true. I was actually thinking that like if we ever did a hip hop one, it would be hard, basically, because it would have to be like where and when.
Well, see, I think it would be harder. I think it would be harder for you than for me, just because you really are wholeheartedly into rap and hip hop. Whereas I'm a visitor. Like there's stuff I definitely like and I have my whatever. And I like rap, but it's not like a go-to for me. Yeah. So I'd be able to specify and be clear about that because my breadth of knowledge isn't yours.
Well, it's interesting that you said visitor. I like that because I still feel like I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines a little bit, Like,
then I'm in the cheap seats.
Because it's just like, sometimes I'll kind of like pat myself on the back, like, man, over the last few years, like I've learned a lot. Like I know a lot. Like maybe I can call myself a hip hop head. Right. And then I find this other door and I'm like, shit.
But isn't that the case with any genre?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's
like
hip hop to me feels so never ending because it's only been a few years. Like I've only known it really for a few years. So it just feels so never ending. But I guess if I really wanted to dive deep into punk, which arguably I never really have,
right?
I'm sure it would be pretty never ending,
Yeah. I mean, there's so many versions and so like.
Yeah, you can get really nerdy if you spend the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So. But that's what's exciting about it. Like it is never ending, and I kind of want it to be never ending.
Right.
Like I don't want to be on CNN as like some hip hop expert. Like I don't want to know everything. Like that's so boring.
There's that, but then and if you get to that point, then you're never discovering anything new.
Yeah. Like I keep wanting to find these little doors, I want to discover more Raz Kasses,
Yes. That's the way I am with any genre. That's why, you know, I'm definitely a music snob, but I'm not a snob. And like, I know people will only listen to bluegrass music, and that's it. They don't know anything about anything else. They won't listen to anything else. It's just bluegrass.
Yeah.
Or it's just rock, and they refuse to delve into country. And it's like, but wait a second, you know,
yeah,
there's some damn good country out there. There's
so basically music school kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in my experience, it was the jazz school kids. You know, they only listen to jazz.
Yeah.
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 Or they only listen to classical, you know.
Right. I want to experience it all, because there's going to be something I like in any genre. Except maybe opera. I appreciate opera for its talent and whatever. I can't sit and listen to it.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Especially Chinese opera.
I don't even know what that is.
That's terrible.
Okay.
That's all it's just
top
terrible.
5 Chinese opera singers. Next episode.
No. All right. I'm going to move on to my last one.
Cool.
The Dropkick Murphys, I think, are almost they're masters at the final track, because on almost every album there's a song that's like something like "This is the last song," or "Welcome back," or "We'll see you again," or like it's tailor-made to be a final track. And I kind of like that. And I'm a big Dropkick Murphys fan. I guess I didn't really get into Dropkick Murphys until a few years ago. I knew about them. I liked a few of their songs, but then when I really sat down and just started listening to their albums and stuff, I was like, you know what? I like this Irish punk mix. You know, it's punk, but then you're throwing some different instrumentation in there. You got some accordion, you've got some bagpipes and flute and all these different things, and it's just kind of a cool mix. So I was torn. Do I do Until the Next Time, which is off their album 11 Short Stories of Pain and Glory, but ultimately I had to pick one of my favorite Dropkick Murphys songs, and it's the final track off of their Blackout album, and it's called Kiss Me, I'm Shit-Faced. And it's a great final track, but and here's another possible topic for later, but like best end of the night songs. Like the bar's closing down, here's our final, let's get everybody out of here, let's have a great time. And Kiss Me, I'm Shit-Faced is that song, and it's about it's this slow kind of sing along, you know, kiss me, I'm shit-faced, I'm drunk and I'm blood and I'm plowed, and everybody sings along, but the lyrics start, the first 2 verses are this guy in a bar trying to pick up chicks. He's just like, I'm the best guy, I do all this, and I make the best roast duck, and I do this, and you should want me, and blah, 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 blah. And then the last verse is, it's finally the end of the night, and he's like, look, really, I'm a bag of shit. Like, I'm not that good looking, whatever, but will you still take me home? Like, it's such a great, and it's slow, and it has this plotting sing-along, but then the last verse is full-on punk. It goes double time to the end of the song, and you're like, God, that was just such a nice release at the end of an album. And I can picture like being with a group of buddies at the end of a night on a bar, like singing the Kiss Me, I'm shit-faced, like just phenomenal. Love it.
Yeah, surely they've closed a few shows with it too.
I know they have.
But they have to.
Well, and often what they do is they bring all the ladies up on stage, so they ask a bunch of women from the crowd to come up on stage with them and sing the song with them. And it's such a good song. I love it. Great. Sweet. Final track.
Awesome. Another band that I sort of just missed. Like I always knew who they were. Nobody around me was really listening to them. So I just never did.
Yeah, I think some people consider them a novelty.
Okay.
Because of the style. But they're a great punk band. They're good musicians. They're fantastic. I get into them.
Cool. Do they have horns?
Yes. Like they're it's actually a huge band. But all different instrumentation and playing on the Irish jigs, but punking them up, almost like a flogging Molly or like the Pogues on crack or something like that, like the Pogues on speed. Like it's just, yeah. There's other groups that are kind of like them. The Killigans are good, and I like that Irish folk tinge with punk. It's a cool mix.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good beer drinking music, I guess.
You got it.
My last one was like a last minute choice this morning.
Oh.
It just randomly came to mind. Because I was having trouble choosing.
Okay.
And then this one came to mind, and I was like, okay, it's a good choice because it rounds out a great album.
Okay.
And Rosberg likes it too. It's perfect.
All right, what do we got?
So the last track on Borders and Boundaries.
Oh, nice.
By Less Than Jake.
Oh, yeah.
Called Faction,
Yes.
That album's just,
fantastic.
Yeah, like it's all about them being on the road and stuff, right? They actually wrote it on the road. They wrote that album on the road. So they're talking about traveling and going to these different cities and nostalgic stuff and stuff like that. And so when I was hearing it in junior high school,
right,
I translated those themes into like moving around.
Right.
So I really like
it resonated with you in particular.
A lot of the lyrics really hit hard, and I just loved it so much,
Yeah.
They were singing to me in the airport, while I was like saying goodbye to friends and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. And then that last track, how it ends with like that amazing harmony.
Yep.
And then dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
It's like fucking what an album. Yeah. That's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, I have a debate with a friend of mine, which is the best Less Than Jake album, and he's firmly in the Borders and Boundaries.
Yeah, there's the Hello Rockview camp and the Borders and Boundaries camp. And like fights get started.
Yeah.
Like punches are thrown at Warped Tour. It's like, come on, bro, it's Less Than Jake.
Right?
It's fine.
It's fine. It's all good because Less Than Jake is awesome.
Yeah. As long as it's one of those two. No, just kidding. Yeah.
No, great choice. Yeah, I'm behind you on that one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the chorus, sometimes you just want to belong at any loss or any cause. It's like, it's cheesy, but like when you're a kid, and it's the best.
Sometimes those kinds of cheesy lyrics, they work. Sorry, it might be cheesy.
Like, it's empowering in that basic way. That basic way that's kind of necessary,
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. And the whole album's kind of about, like finding where you belong and finding your friends and like, being yourself kind of thing.
But so many I feel like that is their whole message as a band. Like,
yeah,
like so many of their songs, like one of my favorite tracks, which is on Hello Rockview, all my best friends are metalheads.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, do you really know all these people? Do you really know that person? Did you know that they did this and that? You know, screw you.
Yeah, that song's like, you know, one of the, you know, earliest lessons that I had of like, you know, people are different and that's okay.
Right?
Yeah, it's a pretty important song for a middle schooler to hear, I think.
Right? More middle
especially
schooler.
Like a spoiled, you know, a spoiled middle schooler like me, you know. Less than Jake had to teach me not to laugh at the gothic kid. But that's good.
See, I wish I would have had a less than Jake when I was in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do have a ton of like honorable mentions, and I'm just gonna
I've got 4. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about them. There were ones I thought about. Only in Dreams off of Weezer's Blue album. Release, which is the final track on Pearl Jam's 10.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of a band called Dispatch. So Out Loud, which is the last song on Bang Bang, or Atticus Cobain, which is last song on their America Location 12 album, both great. Brighter Day is the last song on Jellyfish's Spilt Milk. Great track. A Band of Heathens, their self-titled album, the last song, Hallelujah, is great. Collie Man, the last track off of Everything You Need by Slightly Stupid, is a great track. Champagne Supernova, last track on What's the Story, Morning Glory by Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two that I was grappling with until about 15 minutes before we started talking about this, and they just missed the cut. Crown of Thorns by Mother Love Bone, and Daisy Age, which is the final track off of 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot of runner-ups.
Yeah, I just...
this is a tough one, because like I said,
kept coming up with stuff.
Yeah, we were talking before we pressed record. Yeah, we warm up for this amazing performance, guys.
This is all scripted.
Yeah, we're fucking good at this. Yeah, like what we were talking about before, it's like, it's a pretty common goal for bands to want to have like a really sweet closing track.
Yes.
But it's also a really common like accidental thing, because most bands want to have a well-rounded album.
Right.
So naturally there's going to be a lot of candidates.
Yes. That's exactly it. And I'm sure there are tons I probably still could have put on the list. You know, there are bands that I didn't even take time to check out to see what the, you know, like, you know, so I had a big list of honorable mentions there.
So I had Sparta.
Okay.
Do you remember them?
Yep.
Last song on their first album called, the last song's called Assemble the Empire.
Okay.
Just a huge rocker. But I was kind of like, maybe not. Elliott Smith album, Either Or. It ends with Say Yes. I mean, come on.
I thought about putting that on my list too, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it crossed my mind.
Yeah, but then I was just kind of like, maybe I already had Jimmy Eat World on there.
Right. You're like, I don't need more emotional, like.
That's enough. Yeah. And then the rest of these are like, yeah, come on, Sean, just, scale it down. Blink 182, Enema of the State, the last track, Anthem. I mean, pretty good.
It's interesting because isn't it Anthem Part 2 that starts the next album? And
yes.
That's the one that was big.
Yeah, that was big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember the lyrics exactly, but it's like, having a mom and dad is like being a slave, and like blah,
right.
blah. It's like, yeah, I can't relate to that.
Yeah, I can't either.
My parents were fine.
Your parents were awesome.
So it's like, it's funny to listen to albums like bands like Blink-182, and I'm like, yeah. I can't relate to that really.
No. I like the angst. I like the feeling of the music, but your lyrics they're missing the mark.
Yeah. I mean, there's moments of it that any kid could relate to, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. But Anthem it's an amazing song. It's like the lyrics are really cool, but listening to it this morning, I was like, yeah, that wasn't my childhood.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny to realize that all these years later. It's like, so what? Your parents told you to do your homework and not smoke? Wow, what a bunch of dicks.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then Further Seems Forever from The Moon Is Down, their first album, New Desert Life.
Okay.
It's just it's an epic way to end an epic album, but it's Further Seems Forever, so I probably shouldn't even be mentioning
it. What's wrong with Further Seems Forever?
No, I mean, that's one of my favorite albums of all time, probably. Moon Is Down. Actually, unlike bands like 311, I actually do have a couple friends that I can listen to Further Seems Forever with.
Right.
So, like in Tokyo, I mean. So
one of my friends here had never heard of 311.
Oh, really?
He's British.
Where are they? Oh, okay. Well,
I'll school him.
It's a pretty American band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and even then, they have a very core group of fans, us.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people who are like, oh, 311, yeah. Unless it's Amber.
Yeah, like basically when 311 plays at a stadium on 311 Day, those are all of their fans except for us. Yeah. Only 2 of their fans can't go because they're in Japan.
Right.
All those other 10,000 people, they're all there.
Yep.
Those are their fans.
Yeah.
But hey, make an album and sell 10,000 copies, do that every couple of years, that's fine.
They're a great band.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's it for this episode. What's our next topic? We haven't come up with one. I came up with the last 2, so I figure it's your turn to come up.
Oh no.
Another top 5.
Another top 5?
Yeah, I like the format of this, at least for a while.
Put your suggestions in the comments.